Well, it changed significantly, I would say. There's a lot more responsibility in it, obviously. But this is something that I've mentioned, I've been preparing for my entire life, and am excited about the new challenges that are ahead.
Avery Johnson's now the quarterback moving forward. What have you seen from him since he kind of took the reins over?
Ton of maturity, and really, I didn't necessarily see all of that when he took the reins over the Monday after the Iowa State loss. You've seen it since he stepped foot on campus, and his desire to learn, his desire to compete. We all know what kind of athlete he is, what kind of football player that he is, but the character of who he is, and what type of competitor he is, that's exactly what we anticipated going into that bowl game.
You brought in Easton Kilty along the offensive line. What's the thought behind that? What do you envision his role being?
Well, Easton comes from a very good program up north, and you could see on his film what kind of player, what kind of competitor he is. The versatility that he brings to the offensive line, I think, is really important. And with us losing the three starters from the entirety of the season, and including Christian Duffy, having that experience and having that skill set that he has is going to be very, very big for us here moving forward.
Adding someone like Coach Wells to the staff, how's that impacted you in the offensive approach?
Significantly, not only from his experience as an offensive coordinator previously, but also his experience as a head coach and his experience of having that vantage point from a number of different chairs, from a position coach to a coordinator to a head coach, to obviously being in our league a year ago, I think is extremely beneficial. He's just an absolute joy to be around. Quite honestly, Fitzy, we've just begun digging into the football aspect of it because the previous 3 weeks we've obviously been on the road recruiting. So I'm just really excited about this month of February to see what kind of additional value that he can bring to the offense.
How does a new offensive coordinator go about constructing a playbook?
Yeah. That's an interesting question, probably more so for a new offensive coordinator who is coming in from maybe a different system. The system that we currently have in place has been a system that we have used since 2013, since I arrived at North Dakota State, and it's just continually evolved through the number of different coordinators that we've had, from Brent Vigen to Tim Polasek to Courtney Messingham to most recently, obviously, Colin Klein. So I don't know that you're going to see significant changes. Each coordinator has put their own spin on the offense, and we are using very, very similar terminology. We're going to use a lot of the same things that we have done. The things that we have done these previous 2 years are not a ton different than what we have been doing since my time with Coach Climbing, all the way going back.
Do you find yourself watching a film or a game and saying, "Oh, I'm stealing that"?
Oh, I've been doing that since since I started coaching. Yeah, Fitzy, it's and you can see even over the course of my time at Kansas State, there's a lot of things that maybe myself or our offensive staff have gotten credit for that completely was stolen. So I wish that I could say that myself and some other coaches are really original thinkers, but quite often it is an evolution of something that you see.
Conor, we'd spoken previously, and you mentioned that you believe that this offense could be pretty dangerous this year. I was wondering if you could just elaborate on why you believe this offense could be dangerous.
Well, really where you start is the playmakers that we have returning. And you look at starting, obviously, when you talk offensive football, you're going to start with the quarterback position. And I think it's pretty well documented of what we anticipate Avery's continual growth here moving forward. But you look at the performance of DJ Gideons this not only this past year, but especially highlighted in that bowl game. From the tight end position, I think that we have some increased depth. We do have some shoes to fill, most definitely. But that's college football. And when you look back out on the perimeter, with the advantage of getting some more reps underneath their belt, guys who've been in the system a little bit longer, and then the addition of a guy like Dante Cephas, I think it brings a whole new element to what we can do offensively. Now, if we could just, make sure that O-line coach gets his ass in gear and gets those guys ready up front, I think that we got a chance to be pretty special. But even looking at the offensive line group, I know a lot of people will make note of what we lose, and rightfully so should look at what we do lose. And I'm quick to remind them that in 2021, prior to the 2022 season, we lost quite a bit as well, quite a bit of experience, and some great leaders and some great football players. And that is the program that Coach Kleiman has set out to build here, is not a good football team or a great football team, but a great football program that is going to have the consistency year in and year out. And I'm excited for the personality of that offensive line group to evolve. I'm excited to see who is going to step up of the course of what we're doing right now and then through spring practice. So you put all those pieces together, and it's pretty hard not to get excited.
Of meeting Dante Cephas just a little bit ago. I was curious if you might be able to give us a little insight on Dante and just his playmaking ability, his personality, what you've picked up from him so far.
Yeah, well, his personality is very businesslike. In fact, we had a quick staff meeting this morning and really highlighted some of the players that are really attacking the workouts, and his name came up. And you look at his background, he's had to earn everything that he's gotten. And he's gone through his own adversity, the adversity of what maybe not his transition to his last school being what he anticipated. He was a guy that we were looking to a year ago because of his relationship with Coach Middleton and the production that we saw, in just crossover film. They played Oklahoma in 2022 before we did, and you're sitting there watching the film going, who are these guys? And that production over a course of time, when you talk to coaches who've competed and played against them, and they say that is one of the top wide receivers that they'd seen over the course of so many years of coaching in this league, I think it really speaks volumes to what kind of playmaking ability he has.
First off, just congratulations on the job.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I feel like in general, offensive line coaches don't generally get a look at coordinator. Do you think there's any kind of stigma there that you're motivated to prove that you guys can do this?
Yeah, it's maybe a little bit different of a track to this particular position, being an offensive line coach and being a coordinator. I kind of am quick to point out, I think the national champs this past year in college football had an offensive line coach as their coordinator. But the stigma that comes out, and I think you guys are all well versed in what was said in early December when I was named interim, was that we were going to install the triple option and we were going to run 4 yards in a cloud of dust and see what happens at the end. And that's not the case at all. And I hope that bowl game proved that a little bit. I am a firm believer that in order to be successful at this level, you do have to establish the run, and vice versa. I think that you need to stop the run. But what establishing that run can ultimately do in expanding some of the things within the pass game in just a short period of time of evaluating this past season, those are the things that excite me. And we need to be explosive on the perimeter. and we need to be efficient in the passing game, and we need to continue to take advantage of the things that defenses are going to give us.
Next year, with you moving up to the, are you going to continue coaching up from the box full time? You think?
That is the anticipation right now.
With that move, who else is going to help you? Coach the offensive line from play to play. I know that's got to be a little bit of a task.
Yeah, well, we're very fortunate, and we kind of saw. Maybe you guys noticed in that bowl game that Coach LePack had moved from the box down to the sideline, and Coach LePack, obviously, his track record has shown he's a phenomenal tight ends fullbacks coach here, but his background is also in the offensive line. So having a coach with his background, with his experience on the sideline, that's what's allowing me to remove myself from the sideline and move up to the booth.
Just from a personal perspective, are you missing your seniors? Is it a little quieter without guys like Hayden Gillum around? And then on a more serious aspect, who has stepped up in that room as a leader?
Gilly. I miss the hell out of them, all of them, and I've had numerous phone calls, numerous FaceTimes, and our relationship, and this is who I am, is going to be something that extends a lot further than just their playing career at K-State. So I miss them no different than I miss so many of the previous players that we played for. And, I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier of how the personality of an offensive line room will continue to evolve, and it changes. And with such big personalities that we had previously, I told our young guys, I'm excited to see what this room looks like here moving forward. It was Noah Johnson was very dominant in 2021, and you sit there and go, gosh dang, how are we going to fill this void? And based on the player you mentioned, it was filled and then some. And I'm just really excited because Hadley Panzer has really stepped up. Andrew Leingang has really stepped up. Someone who's been in this program quite some time and been through so much adversity, Taylor Poitier, his name was mentioned this morning as a guy who's really impacting the people around them. So as you continue to get those guys more confidence and maybe remove some of those other personalities because of graduation, you're really going to see that personality, that room take shape. And I'm really fired up about that. And that's just a few names, There's others that have kind of been waiting in the wings patiently. And we lost one in the transfer portal to, 3 6-year guys coming back. But the rest stuck around. And I'm excited to see what they do with that room.
For you guys at all at finding a transfer running back to pair with DJ at all, or are you looking at that younger crop of guys to find who's going to kind of be the next one to step up?
Yeah, right now we feel pretty confident with where we're at in that running back room. As you well know, this can change so quickly. So as it stands right now, we don't see that as a direct position of need.
And then you guys have a bunch of just young, talented tight ends. Now that Ben is gone, how are things starting to shape up? Obviously, Oakley is probably top of that list, but behind him.
Yeah. Well, that you have Will Swanson, who's very steady, and then you have some young guys who I think I'd be in better position to answer this question probably in early to mid-April. But that's what they were recruited for. You're not recruited to be a backup. You're recruited to come in here and compete. You're recruited to come in here and improve and bring value to this football team. And with obviously losing such a great player like Ben Sennett, there's opportunity for those guys to really step into a role. And that's one of the things that we're excited about, but that's one of the things that we are very, very focused on here moving forward over the course of the next 2.5, 3 months into this fall.
What's impressed you the most about Jacob Knuth?
Him taking a chance on himself. Jacob is a young man who we recruited heavily out of high school and made a decision to transfer here, pretty well knowing who the high school quarterback was that we took, and how he has continued to improve and step up. And one of the conversations I've had with him is to start getting comfortable being uncomfortable, is something that you're beginning to see. And this spring, I'm really, really excited about Jacob and what he can do. So for someone to take a chance on themselves like he did, I think is really a testament to who he is.
A lot of it'll kind of shake out in the spring and fall, but as far as Taylor and Hadley, I know kind of shared the one guard position this year, but if I recall, Hadley also played some center early on. Do you have kind of a plan for those guys, or is that?
Yes, we do. And really, I can tell you, to the best of my knowledge, is that there's open competition. And, you know, Sam Hecht is a young man who, similar to Jacob, came in as a walk-on who we'd recently elevated to scholarship, and that's because he had earned it. And I think he is a really, really good football player. You know, Andrew Leingang, who has been very, very patient. I'm really, really excited about how all of this is going to come together. And one of the things that we talk about quite often in that offensive line room, and it's easy to look at a guy like Cooper Beebe, who had played multiple positions, is the versatility is going to continue to allow you to bring value to this football team and competition to this football team. So, yes, there is a absolute plan in place. How that is going to shake out, you know, April 15th at the conclusion of spring practice may be completely different than how it shakes out September 1st or when we kick off this season.
And also, you talked about moving to the press box. How do you feel like that went? The game management, the one time you've been up there, and
Yeah.
what did you learn from that?
Well, one of the things that I needed to do was, in visiting with a few other people, was there's a lot of emotion that goes on the sideline. And, you know, in my conversations, I think I'd mentioned earlier of visiting with other coordinators, they said, you know, a bad play call is better than no play call at all. And and you can find that out. So there's so much that I did learn, you know, and part of it is, you know, not getting stuck on the card. Part of it is you have a 3rd down and 6, and understanding, is this a sequencing opportunity, you know, and maybe to the surprise of a lot of people out there, not every 3rd down and 6 call is necessarily designed to get 7+. Sometimes it's, in today's age of analytical football, it's to get you to a 4th and manageable, with obviously that opportunity of getting the 1st down on 3rd down. So understanding those situations, I think, is a great learning experience. In that particular game, I can pinpoint a few different situations that you'd always like to have a play call back. You'd like to have that opportunity back. As it pertains to the offensive line, it is a little bit harder to see some of the things and just pay attention to those 5 guys up front, and that's where it's so important to have a guy like Coach LePack, who is on the sidelines, who's going to help be that extra set of eyes. So how it went, I missed being on the sideline with the guys. I'm going to be completely honest. In the second quarter, I don't know that I've shared this story, but someone gets on the headset, and shockingly, it was, you know, Hayden Gillum, who says he needs to get on the headset with me. And, you know, I take my headset off, and I said, hey, what's up? And he just kind of wanted to see how I was doing up there and let me know that he was missing me on the sideline. And then kind of gave me a couple things that he liked in there, and passed the blame on to our All-American left guard on a particular play that we ran, and laughed. I wasn't laughing quite as hard as he was, but You know, it's really it's kind of a funny story of just I do have a great relationship with those guys in that room, and being in that it was different, but I know it's going to be a challenge we're going to be able to overcome.
You talked about telling your quarterback to get used to being uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Is that maybe the same for you in some respects?
Absolutely, it is, and you know, D. Scott and I were talking a little bit about it. Is you sit there and you want everything to be perfect, and you have a visualization of how this is all going to go in your life. You know, when you do get that opportunity to be a first-time play caller, and it wasn't perfect. You know, you have your, I think we all know, you have your leading receiver chose not to play in it. You have your All-American tight end who chose not to play in it. You have a starting quarterback who started the lion's share of the year who wasn't playing it. Your second leading rusher, all these other things, and you begin to think of, you know, oh, woe is me. You know, this isn't the way I envisioned it. And then you got to take a step back and say, this is what I've been challenging all of these players for, to do this for so many years, and to continue to, you know, look at what challenges you have and not use them as an excuse, but use them as a motivation. And it was time for me to pony up. It was time for me to live up to maybe some of the some of those same messages that I've been saying.